Readers, all week we've gotten to compare and contrast things about a story. Remember, when we compare something, we know that it's two things are the same. They're alike, they're similar. You might use the word both. But when we contrast something, we know that it's different. It's unlike. We might use the word however. So all week we've gotten to grow our brains about comparing and contrasting. Give your brains a kiss. So smart. Yeah, we've compared a character to ourselves. We've compared three different authors using a Venn diagram. We've even compared characters inside of a story. And that's what we're going to get to do again today. We're going to compare characters inside of a story. So we're going to look at what the character says, how the character acts, to decide more about what the character's like and how they're the same or different. So the story is called The Little Red Fort, and it's written by Brenda Mayer. That's the author. But the illustrator, what's the illustrator do? Draws the pictures. Very good. Give yourselves a hula hula. Hula hula, hula hula. The illustrator, Sonia Sanchez, draws the pictures. Ruby's mind was always full of ideas. I think that's her brainstorming. One day, she found some old boards. Who wants to help me build something? She asked her brothers. Ruby seems curious. Based off of what she's saying and how she's acting, I can tell that Ruby's probably a curious little girl. Oscar Lee pretended not to hear her. Rodrigo gave her a look that could melt popsicles. Jose almost fell off the fence. You don't know how to build anything, they said. And she did. Who wants to help me draw the plans? Ruby asked. The boys clutched their sides and howled with laughter. Not me, said Oscar Lee. I don't think so, said Rodrigo. No way, said Jose. I'm too busy. Fine, said Ruby. I'll draw them myself. This is telling me that Ruby probably shows a lot of resilience, right? Even when things go wrong and her brothers are telling her she can't do something, she's a hard worker. And she did. So even though the words are just and she did, I'm looking at the picture and I can tell a lot about the character. Maybe she's creative, right? And she keeps working, even though she's tried a bunch of different ideas, she keeps going till she gets it right. Satisfied with her plans, Ruby asked, who wants to help me gather the supplies? Oh yeah, that's what an engineer does. They get an idea, create plans, and then they have to follow the steps. Not me, said Oscar Lee. I don't think so, said Rodrigo. No way, said Jose. I'm too busy. Fine, said Ruby. I'll gather them myself. And she did. So those must be the tools that she needs to create something. I'm wondering what she might create. When all the supplies were gathered, Ruby asked, who wants to help me cut the boards? Not me, said Oscar Lee. I don't think so, said Rodrigo. No way, said Jose. I'm too busy. Fine, said Ruby. I'll cut them myself. So how are Ruby's brothers different from Ruby? Think in your brain. Go ahead, tell me or the person around you. How are they different? Yeah, maybe you said that Ruby is showing a lot of ambition, right? She wants to create something. And her brothers, their facial expressions are like, I don't want to help you. So that's how they're different. They have different motivations. And she did. You can say it with me. And she did. When All the boards were neatly cut. Ruby sang, "Who wants to help me hammer some nails?" What do we know about these boys? I think they're going to say no. Let's read on. "Not me," said Oscar Lee. "I don't think so," said Rodrigo. "No way," said Jose. "I'm too busy." "Fine," said Ruby. "I'll hammer them myself." And she did. So it looks like there might be a few other characters helping her, but it's not her brothers. Soon, Ruby's creation was complete. "Who wants to play in my fort?" she called. Let's read what these boys are going to do. Me, said Oscar Lee. "Let's go," said Rodrigo. "I'll play," said Jose. "I'm not busy anymore." So after Ruby went through all the steps to create, engineer, and build her fort, none of her brothers wanted to help. But why do they want to be a part of it now? You're right. Now that it's all built and all the hard work's already been put in, her brothers are like, "Ooh, I want to be in your fort now." What do you think? Is Ruby going to let them? Let's read to find out. Keep that thought in your brain. "Not so fast," Ruby said. "You didn't help me draw the plans or gather the supplies or cut the boards or hammer the nails. You said I didn't know how to build. And you laughed at me. I'm going to play in this fort all by myself." And she did. Ruby's fort. Her face looks very content, doesn't it? "Well, we didn't want to play anyway," the boys said. But they did. So they huddled, whispered, and got straight to work. Oscar Lee made a mailbox. Rodrigo planted flowers. Jose painted the fort fire engine red. Ruby was delighted. Delighted means very happy. That evening, the boys followed a delicious aroma to a fort warming party. An aroma is a smell. "Who wants to help me clean this plate?" Ruby asked. "We do," the boys said. And they did. So here they are. So how come Ruby ended up letting the boys play in the fort? Yeah, even though at the beginning of the story the boys kept saying, "We don't want to work, we don't want to help you build the fort," they decided to add some really helpful things. Let me go back and reread. A mailbox, planting flowers, and a fort, and painting the fort fire engine red. And so then Ruby thought, great, now we've gotten to create the fort as a team and we can enjoy it as a team. So even though these characters were acting different at the beginning, by the end of the story, they were both wanting to be together in the fort. And then it says, build a fort of your own. You could build a sofa fort, a kitchen chair fort, a snow fort, and a bunk bed fort. You could even think back to a time that you've built a fort and how did you build it? And compare that and contrast that to Ruby and her brothers building their little red fort. I had the best time with you this week getting to celebrate stories that are created by authors who are Hispanic. So maybe we got to see more Hispanic characters in stories, or we were just inspired by authors who used their Hispanic heritage to create it. So see you next week.